like, comment, and subscribe for more content.
What's up, guys? Welcome to this edition of a Funko Popcast. I'm DK Wrestler.
And I'm MD Shady.
And in today's podcast, it is a fandom-related podcast. This fandom-related podcast is on what I believe to be the best Disney/Pixar movie series of all time, Toy Story. And my God, this is going to be an awesome podcast. If you're a fan of Toy Story, that's awesome. If you're a regular listener to our podcast and like Pops, that's awesome. But when you mesh up both of these together, it's going to be a great time, which in today's podcast, we are discussing about all 4 Toy Story movies, which is going to be pretty insane. So for that, though, we aren't going to go into like scene for scene of all 4 movies because let's face it, that's going to take hours to do. So it's literally going to be, I'm going to mention each movie, a brief description from a user from IMDb, and then we'll go into the pops that will be in each movie, which I should also mention that the pops that we will not be discussing about today include a lot of the OG pops because a lot of them are like, let's say it's a certain character like Buzz Lightyear, and then there's like a same one, but with like a bobblehead with a stand variant, and then there's that metallic 9-inch that Top Pops has. So we're going to get away from those and also the newly released Alien Remix pops because let's face it, it's just Alien from Toy Story dressed up as different Pixar characters. The new Amazon exclusive Mummy Woody that was a part of the Pixar collector's box, which little suggestion thinking about to go watch my unboxing of that box. This may tick some people off, but I think we're not talking about these for the right reasons. And that is the Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head pops because those aren't a part of the Toy Story lineup. Those are a part of the Retro Toys lineup. But what we are talking about today, for sure, we're talking about that original, I think it's 5-pop series of 20th anniversary pops that was released in 2015. We will be discussing about that huge wave of Toy Story pops that were released last year in 2019. And because it's technically the 25th anniversary lineup, but it's not really a 25th anniversary lineup, is the 2 different Alien pops that were made this year. Let's kick off with Toy Story 1, the first movie of the franchise, released November 22nd, 1995, with a budget of $30 million and the box office being $373.6 million, making a profit of $344.6 million. In which the summary for this movie, as provided by a user over on IMDb, a little boy named Andy loves to be in his room, playing with his toys, especially his doll named Woody. But what do the toys do when Andy's not with them? They come to life. Woody believes that his life as a toy is good. However, he must worry about Andy's family moving, and what Woody does not know is about Andy's birthday party. Woody does not realize that Andy's mother gave him an action figure known as Buzz Lightyear, who does not believe that he is a toy and quickly becomes Andy's new favorite toy. Woody, who is now consumed with jealousy, tries to get rid of Buzz. Then both Woody and Buzz are now lost. They must find a way to get back to Andy before he moves without them, but they will have to pass through a ruthless toy killer, Sid Phillips. In your opinion, MD, what makes Toy Story such a great movie series?
Oh man, that's such a good question and such a hard question at the same time because obviously me and you are both huge fans of Toy Story, whether it be 1, 2, 3, or 4. What makes the first movie good? There's so many things. There's a lot to learn from Toy Story 1 about, let's say, friendship or about, like you discussed, about the jealousy kind of thing. It's just such a good movie, and obviously being Pixar's first movie, it was a huge step in animation styles, and honestly, it has aged so well. It still looks amazing, and the characters are funny. There's a lot of comedic moments, and it's just such a great movie for anybody of any age.
Yeah, I think, in my opinion, what makes Toy Story such a great series is how Toy Story has literally the biggest star-studded cast you could probably ever think of in a
Yes.
movie series. Woody, played by Tom Hanks, who at this time, so 1995, so in 1994, Tom Hanks would have done Forrest Gump, which was a huge hit.
Yeah.
And then you got Tim Allen, who plays Buzz Lightyear, and at this time, he's actually filming Home Improvement, which is a hit
Hmm.
TV series. So two huge actors. And then John Ratzenberger, who plays Ham, is just fresh off of finishing Cheers, which has been a TV series for 11 years at that point.
Yeah.
And then ever since Toy Story, John Ratzenberger has actually played a character in every single Pixar movie since then. Examples being the Yeti in Monsters Inc., the Mack truck in Cars. So he's played a huge part in Pixar in general. Wallace Shawn, who voices Rex, he is known for being in Princess Bride as one of the villains in that movie. He played the role of Rex so well.
Yeah.
And then there's just so many, but one I do want to mention, Jim Varney, who voices Slinky, which if you don't know Jim Varney, he is the one who did the Ernest series. So Ernest Goes to School. You would never think that this much star power is in a movie series like Toy Story. Let's go on to the pops now that are involved with the first movie, which, starting off with the 20th anniversary lineup, we got the Woody pop that is there, the normal one, which there is another variant, but we will save that for the second movie, which simply Woody is a pull string cowboy doll who so happens to be Andy's favorite toy and mainly leads the way for all of the toys. Then we got Ham, who is also a part of the 20th anniversary lineup. He's a piggy bank who often is the antagonist, evil Dr. Porkchop, throughout Andy's imagination when he plays with his toys. Then we got ourselves Rex for the 20th anniversary lineup, which basically he's like a nervous green dinosaur and he's always constantly like doubting himself and all that. We got Bo Peep for the huge lineup from 2019, which is simply a porcelain doll of a woman sheep herder who is also Woody's love interest throughout the series. Then we got, of course, Slinky Dog, who is a dash hound with a long stretchable spring in between the top and bottom half of his body. The Army Men Funko Pops, which there are two variants actually. There's a normal one where it is a Emerald City Comic Con 2018 shared with Box Lunch exclusive. And then we have a metallic variant that was a normal Box Lunch exclusive. It's simply just the normal tiny plastic army man from the Bucket of Soldiers. It's a well-known toy. Everyone should know about the Bucket of Soldiers. And in the movie, or at least the first movie, they scout Andy's birthday party to see if he receives any new toys. Then we go on to the Buzz Lightyear because it goes next with these scenes. The 20th anniversary Buzz Lightyear. Buzz Lightyear, he's a Space Ranger action figure who basically becomes Andy's new favorite toy. He believes throughout the majority of the movie that he is not a toy, but is the actual Space Ranger himself. The Diamond Collection Hot Topic Alien, which is one of the new 25th anniversary per se pops, which is simply the mascot for the restaurant, the Pizza Planet. Then we got Mrs. Nesbit, which simply is Buzz Lightyear when he goes into a depression after finding out that he truly is a toy and becomes obviously Mrs. Nesbit when he wears this tea party outfit and Sid's sister Hannah dresses him up. And then the last pop that actually would go with this movie is the Woody with the RC pop rides, which of course in this scene, this is where Woody uses RC to rescue Buzz from Sid's dog Scud. The Woody is pretty cool, honestly, for this time. The 20th anniversary was like my first set of Funko Pops I ever bought. It so happens I was just getting into collecting Funko Pops at the time that this set was coming out. The Ham is so awesome. And then the Rex is so detailed for a pop that was made in 2015, because obviously pops weren't really as detailed as they are now. But looking at this, it's like, wow, such a cool pop. Bo Peep is also really cool. I kind of wish they made it a little 2-for-1 deal, or do I say 4-for-1 deal when I say that they should have added a little pop of the sheep. Really detailed. I love the outfit that Bo Peep is wearing in this. I think they did a really great job for this. Slinky Dog, really cool pop, but I wish that with the Slinky Dog, they did two things. One, they made Slinky stretchable so you can actually see that he stretches out. And two, the only time I would actually accept a pop to have a sideways box rather than the normal, like upwards 4-inch box. the Army Men. Now, I'm all right with the metallic variant, but I do like the Emerald City Comic Con variant better because it just represents the Army Man toy itself better because it is a plastic toy. And with this green color, it does give off the vibe of actually having the bucket of soldiers, army toys in your hands. I understand why they did the metallic one because, you know, an Army Man wears like a suit where it's kind of shiny and more metal. Buzz Lightyear is also really cool. It's in a pose. And especially you got the space helmet that is on there, which didn't happen with the OG pops at the time. I actually bought the OG Buzz Lightyear as my first pop, not knowing that they were going to make this one. Diamond Collection Alien is all right. I mean, do they really need to make it? No, but it ended up turning out really nicely, though. Mrs. Nesbit is so awesome. I am glad that they ended up making this pop, especially the way they made the mouth on this pop. So awesome because he's in that point where like he's kind of going like crazy eyes and all that. And then they even have the detail where the arm is its own separate piece. But what I've never actually tried with this pop is if you're actually able to stick the arm back into the socket, or it's just a cool piece there, like that if you kept it in box. Either way, it's still awesome they made Miss Nesbit. Woody with the RC, so amazing. I remember seeing the concept art for the original one that was supposed to release with the 20th anniversary lineup, and it did not look as good as it does right here for the 2019 version. Because, like I mentioned earlier, Pops back in 2015, they were detailed, but they're not like what we see today with Funko Pops. And waiting an extra 4 years for this Pop to release was well worth the wait because RC looks amazing, and especially because he might have been the first pop rides to actually have wheels with treads on them, unlike the other pop rides that have the plastic vinyl on them, which is really cool. Would it have been cool for them to like actually have the wheels turn so you can kind of play with it? Yes and no. Yes, because it would be added detail to the toy itself. No, because Funko Pops are collectibles, not toys of what I guess I would say non-Funko collectors would perceive them to be.
Yeah, a lot of these Toy Story pops are definitely amazing. So starting off first with the Woody, this is a great pop, especially for the time. Like you said, there's a lot of detail that goes into that torso piece. The face and head itself are all right, but really the body is just great. It captivates what Woody is so well, especially with the way that the arms almost look like they're like material with cotton in it rather than being like a solid toy. And it really gets the point across with that pop. The ham is awesome. I like kind of the pose that he's in, but at the same time, it'd be cool to see more of a stationary pose that he normally has where he's kind of standing on all fours. The Rex is an amazing pop, and I still kick myself in the butt about not picking myself up one of these pops. When this came out, I did pick this pop up for Dylan, and now this is a pretty damn expensive pop. So if I want to get it, I will have to spend quite a bit of money, but it is a great pop. There's so much detail going into it, and it's just so cool. His face looks amazing. Bo Peep is another one that looks amazing. Like you said, the dress and outfit look great. The small, subtle details that they did with this pop make it a really, really great one as well. Slinky Dog is great. I do own this pop, and I love it. What you said about the sideways box thing, I think I would probably agree with that as much as I hate sideways boxes. It would be really cool if they did add an actual spring on it and have the sideways box, but at the same time, those boxes just, they get me all the time. Then the Army Man, the Emerald City Comic Con one is amazing. I do own the box lunch exclusive metallic one. I would like to get the normal one eventually because, like you said, it really does look just like those toys and like the toys looked in the movie, obviously. They're both great pops, but having the metallic one is cool, but I definitely do need to get that ECCC one. Moving on to Buzz. Now, this is a weird pop. So, recently, actually, for the second time, I believe, I watched a video on YouTube that is titled Why I Hate Funko Pops. And one of the main reasons they talk about why they hate Funko Pops. First of all, thing I want to say is I do not agree with this video at all. I think a lot of the points were very dumb and maybe points that I used to think, let's say, in 2014. But moving on to this year of 2020, I definitely don't agree with that video. But what they were saying was one of the main points was talking about the Buzz Lightyear pop and how there's no mouth on the pop. And that is something that I agree with. Buzz, one of his main features is he's always has that kind of cocky smirk, and he just doesn't have it with this pop. I mean, he has his little chin swirl thing, But he doesn't even have a nose, which is really weird. Why they would not put a nose on the pop itself is weird as well, because if you look at any of the other pops, they have noses. So why does Buzz not get a nose? I think he should have had a mouth, especially when we'll talk about in a couple seconds here, when you talk about the Miss Nesbit, which has a mouth and it also has a nose. So then the Diamond Collection Alien, that's an alright pop. Obviously, we're not super huge fans of Diamond Collection, but it does look really cool. And then, yeah, Mrs. Nesbit. You have the nose and you have a mouth. The mouth looks amazing, even though it's not a traditional, let's say, Buzz Lightyear mouth. It is a great mouth to accurately show the expression of Mrs. Nesbit rather than Buzz Lightyear. The outfit looks awesome, and just because they kind of took the arm off the pop is just another little bit of added detail that they didn't have to do, but because they did it is just an extra step to make this pop so great. Then Woody with RC. This thing is just beautiful. This is such an amazing pop. They could have easily just done RC on his own as a pop, but we got the pop rides, and there's just so much greatness about this pop. Woody on it is like one of the best Woodies. That Woody head sculpt is amazing. And then the RC itself is just spot on to the movie. And then, of course, Woody even has the remote control in his hand, which is so cool. I love RC and I love Woody. Woody is my favorite character from Toy Story. And this is just one of my favorite pops of all time.
All right, so now we're going to move on to Toy Story 2, which was released November 24th, 1999. So yeah, we are really closing in on the current 20th anniversary gap of Toy Story 2, which the budget for this movie, $90 million, and the box office being $497.4 million, making a profit of $407.4 million, which the plot/summary for this movie. While Andy is away at summer camp, Woody has been toy napped by Al McWiggin, a greedy toy collector and owner of Al's Toy Barn. In this all-out rescue mission, Buzz and the rest of the gang spring into action to rescue Woody from winding up as a museum piece. When Woody discovers that he's actually a valuable collector from the once popular television show called Woody's Roundup and is reunited with his horse Bullseye, Jessie the yodeling cowgirl and faithful sidekick, and Stinky Pete the prospector, he doesn't want to leave. The gang must find a way to save Woody before he gets sold in Japan forever and they'll never see him again. Now, MD, I've heard so many times off camera that you truly believe that Toy Story 2 is the best movie of the entire franchise. What makes Toy Story 2 better than number 1 and better than, obviously, 3 and 4?
So I feel like there's a lot of factors of why Toy Story 2 is my favorite Toy Story movie. One being I was born in 97. So when the first movie came out, I was not yet born. So when this movie came out and I was obviously still a very young child, it was more of like my time, I guess you could say. The other reason is I love the characters in this movie. I love how, even to this day, but especially when I was a kid, this movie really tugged on my heartstrings. I love the character development from when you go from the first movie, you see Woody and Buzz as kind of these nemesis. And then obviously at the end of the movie, they become friends. But then they're actually really good friends in the second movie. And there's just so much good stuff that happens in this movie, let's say with Zurg, first of all, and the Al's Toy Barn scene and how all these characters kind of come together, and then the introduction to Bullseye and Jessie, which are huge characters, obviously, in the Toy Story franchise.
So let's get right to it with the Funko Pops, which you can't kick off Toy Story 2 without this character that's basically what makes this whole story, and that is Wheezy, who is a squeaking penguin toy with a damaged voice box that has been sitting on a shelf collecting dust. Woody attempts to save him after he accidentally is being a part of a yard sale, but Woody gets taken by who is later revealed to be obviously Al from Al's Toy Barn. Then we go on to the OG Jessie Pop, just because the other Jessie Pop was made goes along with the fourth movie, and we won't really go into description about Jessie at that point, but Jessie, obviously a yodeling cowgirl, and is a sidekick of Woody during the Woody's Roundup series, and during the series, she actually has a fear of enclosed spaces due to being donated by her previous owner, which you would have seen in Toy Story 2. Then we move on to Bullseye, which actually he has two variants. There is a common variant, which these were a part of the huge 2019 wave, including Wheezy was also part of that. And then the Jesse was in the OG wave that we just discussed. So there is a normal variant of Bullseye, but there was also a Funko Shop exclusive flocked variant, which obviously, like I said, Bullseye is Woody's horse during the Woody's Roundup series. And then we go on to Emperor Zurg. There is a couple variants, but we just grabbed whatever photo we find of Zurg, which is the antagonist of Buzz Lightyear in Buzz Lightyear's world in the Buzz Lightyear of Star Command series. He makes an appearance in Toy Story 2, which is so awesome. And then we go on to that Woody Pop that I had mentioned earlier, but is a perfect timing to mention it now, is the black and white box lunch exclusive Woody for the 20th anniversary lineup, which it goes with this movie because the series of Woody's Roundup is all in black and white because, as shown in the movie, Woody's Roundup was, I think, a 60s TV show that actually only had one episode. And then once again, it's one of these perfect timings for like save the best for last for this movie, in my opinion, is the Buzz Lightyear with the Pizza Planet truck pop rides, which this was a New York Comic-Con 2018 shared with Box Lunch exclusive, which of course, this is near the end of the movie where they're leaving Al's, I guess, apartment building, and Buzz Lightyear and the rest of the gang attempt to drive a Pizza Planet truck to the airport as they are going to save Woody. The Wheezy Pop, I love this Wheezy Pop. I love everything about this Wheezy Pop. So awesome, especially the detail with the microphone where there's actually the holes in the microphone, as in like the kind of the speaker where you speak into. It would have been cool to do like a 2-pack with, I think they actually call him Mike in the movie, where it's like the speaker with the microphone, but it's still fine that they ended up doing Wheezy with the microphone itself without the speaker. The Jesse Pop here, now obviously this is an example of Funko Pops. There's some detail, but it's not like what we see today. Like, this is reasons why some people may say like, oh, Funko Pops are stupid. We'll discuss more about the detail when it comes to the Toy Story 4 one, because man, a huge upgrade compared to this. Then we got the Bullseye Pop, which so awesome that we got Bullseye. I was so pumped about a flocked variant. It actually sold out in less than 5 minutes on the Funko Shop, but surprisingly now, a pop that was worth a lot at the time has went down drastically when it comes to the price, which is so weird, especially for a series like Toy Story. You can tell a difference not only because, oh yeah, look at there's the flock texture, but it kind of like shows a different color texture too when you have both the normal variant and the flocked variant. Another detail that I keep forgetting to mention is actually a little detail that happens at the end of the movie where the letter switching of his hoofs, which is really awesome that they did that, where at first I think it says like Danny or something, and it's like, oh, I got to switch them up, and it just switches them to say Andy, which is sweet detail involved with Bullseye. Emperor Zurg, so awesome. I wish I had this pop, and I wish I was a Funko Pop collector at a time when these pops came out, because at this time, there is no other Zurg pops besides, I guess, the 2 different Zurg pops that they have. It's really cool for what it looks like right now, hoping that they will make a more updated one in the future. Maybe they might save that for like a 30th anniversary lineup in 5 years. Black and white Woody, totally makes sense that they made a black and white Woody. It goes along with Woody's Roundup. It is pretty great. And then the Pizza Planet truck pop rides, which to this day is my favorite Funko Pop in my collection. And that's just because, first of all, it's a pop that you would never think that Funko would be like, all right, let's just make a Pizza Planet truck with Buzz Lightyear in it from that scene. And then not only that, another cool detail is the fact that they made the Buzz Lightyear not a normal pop size, but they made him more like smaller than a pocket pop to be accurate to the movie, which is just completely insane. You even have the dirt along the truck, and the one light isn't on because the light is broken. It's dirty. You got the Pizza Planet logo, and then even on the back, I'm pretty sure it shows like the sticker that says yo on the back, which is really, really awesome. Oh, so amazing. Love it.
Wheezy is amazing. Obviously, like you said, he kind of does start off the whole storyline with Toy Story 2. I mean, he got to feel bad for him at the beginning of the movie when Andy finds him and like dusts him off, and then obviously the stuff that comes after that. I love this pop. And having the Mr. Mike microphone is great because I believe it's at the end credits of the movie where he's singing. Oh, what song is it? Do you remember what song it is?
It's just a variant of You've Got a Friend of Me. That's what they were
Oh,
saying at the end.
yeah. It's so amazing. This pop looks great. And when this pop came out, I was so excited. I had to get it. Obviously, I do have that full wave, but this one is just superb. This OG Jesse is really cool. When we talk about the other Jesse, then I think I will discuss more of my opinion on this pop because it just makes sense to compare the two in a different way when we can, I guess. Bullseye's amazing. The flocked one looks cool. I do have the common. I don't think I'm going to get the flocked just because it's not something I necessarily need considering I actually collect Toy Story toys, and just having a full-size Bullseye normal toy is good enough for flocking, I guess you could say, for me. So just having the common in my collection is good enough. But the flocked is obviously amazing. If you're going to get one or the other, probably go for that flocked one. Zurg is really cool, and yeah, that's a pop where it's like, this would be such a great one to own. It's one of those pops where, for being an older pop, like, there's not a whole lot that you could do to make this pop better than what it is. The black and white Woody is great. I love Woody's Roundup. So having a version like this of Woody is amazing, even though it is just a simple color swap. I think it really does make a lot of sense. And then the Pizza Planet truck. This is a pop that I do not own yet. I do plan on buying it. And this is arguably one of the best pop rides of all time, especially for me because I feel like this is how pop rides should be done. I hate when you have the pop rides where they're kind of just sticking out of the hood or the roof, I should say, of the car. Whereas obviously this is a toy, so it's a lot smaller, and getting a full-size pop inside of a pop ride without making the thing just extremely massive is super hard to do. But at the same time, I think it's more accurate when you do something like this. So this is one of those pops that is just so, so amazing.
All right, so I guess it's safe to say we're going to move on to Toy Story 3, which Toy Story 3 released June 18th, 2010, with a budget of $200 million and the box office of $1.067 billion. Yes, you heard that right, $1 billion, making a profit of $867 million, which is just super insane. And if you think about it, and I will say that it does happen, not by much, but with the fourth movie also, is that going from the first to the second to the third and the fourth, they have had a bigger budget, but they've actually made more money profit-wise than each movie going forward. So number 2 made more in profits than number 1, and number 3 more than 2, and then number 4 made more money than number 3. So this is also an example of why I think Toy Story is one of the best franchises, is when you're able to make more money than the previous movie, which is super rare to do. The plot and summary for this movie: as their owner, Andy, begins preparing for college, Woody, Buzz, and their friends feel like they need to move on as well. The toys are then mistakenly sent to a local daycare center with the intention of being played with again. But their enthusiasm is short-lived when they discover the true nature of their new home, which is run by the dictatorship of an evil bear named Lotso. Now it's up to Woody to rescue his friends and plan a daring escape in order to return home before Andy is gone forever. Overall thoughts on the ending of the movie, and did you feel that's it? That's going to be the end of the Toy Story franchise right at number 3.
So I went and I saw this movie in theaters. People wanted to see this movie. It was the first time in just over a decade where we hadn't seen a Toy Story movie, and obviously just crazy. It wasn't good for me. I'm not going to lie. The movie was great. The movie was amazing. There was so much high intensity things that happen in the movie where it's like, oh my God, this is getting real. But let's say by the time I'm walking out of that theater, I'm just in shambles, just bawling my eyes out, crying because these characters that obviously I've loved for years are now in the possession, let's say, of somebody else for a good reason. So it's like I'm crying because I'm so sad, but at the same time, it's like it's a really happy ending. So that being said, when Andy gives the toys away, I knew that that wasn't the end of the adventure. It seems like that could have been a place where they say, okay, this is it. It's a new adventure. Maybe they do like some kind of spin-off sequel. But I knew that wasn't where it was going to end just because of how it went. And then that kind of leads me to Toy Story 4, where I guess later on I'll discuss about that, where it's almost the same thing, whereas I don't believe that Toy Story is over just because of what happens at the end of Toy Story 4. But that was the same thing with Toy Story 3.
Yeah, that ending, especially when the last words you hear from Woody is like, so long, friend, and you see Andy just driving off. But let's move on to the pops, where there's actually only 4 pops to discuss about for Toy Story 3. I mean, technically, there's more when you think of the different variants of Lotso, which obviously has to be the first character that we got to discuss. But more specifically, what we're going to talk about is what I feel is the most expensive single pop of the entire Toy Story lineup. And that is the D23 2011 flocked limited to 480 piece Lotso pop, which obviously Lotso is a stuffed bear who smells like strawberries and is the main antagonist of the film. And then we move on. We got ourselves both Chuckles and Mr. Pricklepants, which are both San Diego Comic-Con 2019 exclusives, except Chuckles was shared with Amazon and Mr. Pricklepants was shared with Hot Topic. And of course, Mr. Pricklepants, who is seen before Chuckles in the movie, is a stuffed animal of a hedgehog who is really into acting, and he also has this accent, which I think also because the voice actor is from England, I believe. It's not just like, hey, let's just make this English accent hedgehog. I think it's just because the actor was also English. And then Chuckles is a clown doll who used to be friends with Lotso. And during the film, Chuckles does tell the story of how Lotso ended up becoming essentially an evil person, or it's not a person, an evil toy, I guess I would say, due to being replaced by their owner. And then the last pop, I thought I'd throw it right in here because Alien actually does make more of an appearance in the third movie than you actually see throughout the entire series put together, which is the newly released box lunch exclusive glitter Alien Pop, a part of the said 25th anniversary lineup. So the flocked Lotso Pop, so cool. The flocking makes the colors more darker than the original ones. It's basically spot on of what Lotso actually looks like with his colors, which is really nice. This pop, I think, if I'm not mistaken, is at least $2,000 Canadian. So it's very unlikely that I will ever get this pop. Mr. Pricklepants, so cool that they made him into a Funko Pop, and he looks really good in Funko Pop form, actually. My only problem is that I wish they made him in a 3-pack with Trixie and Buttercup. They've already made Buttercup into a Mystery Mini for the Toy Story 4 Mystery Mini set. And then the glitter alien. Now, I haven't really seen this in person yet, but I think I've seen photos. Obviously, there's photos here. What it looks to be right here is that it's going to be this cool translucent green where you'll see little specks so that it actually shows it more glittery, while the fact that it's not Diamond Collection. Because glitter and Diamond Collection, they're kind of the same thing, but I feel like with this effect, it'll show off, all right, this is a glitter pop and this is a Diamond Collection pop.
Yeah, that Lotso is just so expensive, but at the same time, it really is an amazing pop. And like you said, it really does bring out the true colors of what Lotso should look like. A question I have for you is, has there been a scented Lotso?
No, there hasn't, and you might have to tune into what I have to say when we talk about what Funko Pops we want to see next in the Toy Story lineup to see what I have to say about that.
Okay, because working with that, I guess, is that it seems like a missed opportunity to have another Lotso Pop be brought out. It'd be amazing if it was flocked and scented, but at the same time, like, if they made another flocked Lotso, that might depreciate the value of this pop, and a lot of people, obviously, the 480 people who own this pop, would not quite like that, unless, of course, they are huge Toy Story fans where they're like, yes, let's go another Lotso Pop. But even the stuffed animals that they came out with back in 2010, 2011, those stuffed animals were scented. So doing a pop vinyl of it would make sense. Chuckles and Mr. Pricklepants are amazing. These pops are so great. These are pops where it's like they kind of came out of nowhere and it's like, okay, did we absolutely need to see these characters? No. Are we super happy that we see them? Yes. And the detail in these are amazing. That Mr. Pricklepants is so great. I mean, nothing against the Chuckles, because that is amazing as well. There's so much detail that goes into that pop, whether it be the outfit with the stripes and the wrinkles and the writing on the heart in his hand. But I think that the Mr. Pricklepants just translated into Funko Pop form so well. I love the character, and it just looks so, so great. Then moving on to that glitter alien, the last pop that we'll talk about for Toy Story 3. This is a cool pop as well. I think it's going to look really, really great. And it's a weird one. We don't necessarily need it.
All right, so now it's time to discuss about the last Toy Story movie in the franchise. So Toy Story 4 released June 21st, 2019 with a budget of $200 million and the box office of $1.073 billion, with making a profit from the budget of $873 million. More profit than the third movie and making it the most profitable Toy Story movie. The plot for this movie: Woody, Buzz Lightyear, and the rest of the gang embark on a road trip with Bonnie and a new toy named Forky. The adventurous journey turns into an unexpected reunion as Woody's slight detour leads him to his long-lost friend, Bo Peep. As Woody and Bo discuss the old days, they soon start to realize that they're two worlds apart when it comes to what they want from life as a toy. I did go and see this the day it released, and I bought tickets months in advance. I had one for MD, but unfortunately, MD couldn't make it because work wouldn't give him off. But you ended up seeing it later on when it was on Disney Plus. So now I guess I'm going to have to ask you your overall thoughts of the fourth movie. And do you think that there will be a Toy Story 5?
So I guess I kind of answered that second question a little bit prematurely. But talking about Toy Story 4, yeah, unfortunately, I didn't get to see it in theaters, which is really upsetting to me because I love watching movies in theaters. I'm kind of glad at the same time that I did not see it in theaters because I was able to bawl my eyes out for an hour and a half in my bed. Oh my God. I watched it and I didn't expect what was going to happen. It was the saddest, bittersweet moment in movie history, period, in my opinion. You want them to not part ways because look at the adventure that they've been on throughout the years. We've grown up with these characters being best friends from the middle of Toy Story 1 all the way up to Toy Story 4, where they do part ways. But that being said, I don't think it will be forever. It just doesn't make sense for many reasons. One, the whole Toy Story franchise is eventually based around this theme of friendship. And clearly they're not losing any money here. They are just making stacks on stacks of money. So to cut it short just doesn't make sense. Whether we have to wait another 5 or 10 years before we see another movie is kind of the question. It's not will we see another movie, it's when will we see another movie. So yes, 100% there will be a fifth movie. Hopefully Buzz and Woody will be back together eventually.
And then my thoughts on will there be a Toy Story 5? I do think there will be another Toy Story, but I don't think it'll be Toy Story 5 per se. I think at this point, it's going to be like a spin-off. It's not going to be a part of a main Toy Story trilogy. It will now be like if you're watching Star Wars, it's not going to be a part of the 9 movies that have already been made. It's going to be like if it's a Mandalorian or a Solo or something like that. If they do number 5, I think what you mentioned about Woody and Buzz reuniting, I think that would have to be the case if it's Toy Story 5. And if it's not the case, then why even make it? Even though I'm a bigger fan of Buzz Lightyear than I am of Woody, there's just the comedic timing and everything involved with Woody and Buzz being together throughout that series. It's not the same. It's like if you were to make Back to the Future 4 and you leave out either Doc or Marty in the series and you're just making it without them. It would be that awkward to watch Toy Story 5, let's say without Woody. I guess we can now move on to the pops. I'm only going to go into description of the newer characters in this case. First off, we got to kick off with talking about Forky. Forky does have his own common variant of him being happy and then a GameStop exclusive of him being sad. And Forky is simply a spork with googly eyes, pipe cleaner arms, and popsicle stick feet attached to clay. And Bonnie creates him during kindergarten orientation and instantly becomes her favorite toy. Then going basically scene for scene at this point, Gabby Gabby, which on a technicality, she does have 2 variants, which I should also mention kind of Forky has a few variants, which I should have mentioned about that, but I'll mention it when we actually talk about the Toy Story 4 lineup. So Gabby Gabby is a girl pull-string doll with a broken voice box. She constantly obsesses over wanting to have a little girl Harmony as her owner. She keeps Forky hostage throughout the movie in order to convince Woody to give her his voice box. Then we go on to Benson, which was a New York Comic Con 2019 shared with Amazon exclusive, which is simply a ventriloquist dummy who is also the sidekick of Gabby Gabby. I mean, there is a bunch of them throughout the movie, but the main one, I guess, is Benson. And then we go on to Officer Giggle McDimples, which there wasn't a full-on Funko Pop of Officer Giggle McDimples. It was a part of like a 2-for-1 deal with Bo Peep, which is simply a tiny police officer who lives in a, I guess, Polly Pocket-esque case, would be safe to say. And then, like I said, she is the sidekick of Bo Peep. And then we got Combat Carl Jr., which is simply an army toy. He kind of was mentioned in the first movie when they had the original one. It's like, oh, it's a Combat Carl, except it's Combat Carl Jr. Then we got ourselves Ducky and Bunny, which are simply just plushes of the animals that they are. So it's a plush of a duck for Ducky and a plush of a bunny for Bunny. But then, once again, it seems like this whole podcast has just been going like, we're saving one of the best pops for last, and that is Duke Kaboom, who is a toy of Canada's greatest stuntman. Throughout the movie, he mentions that his previous owner was disappointed in him and got rid of him when he realized he couldn't do the stunts as shown on the commercials, which Duke Kaboom, voiced by Keanu Reeves, so amazing. So anyways, the Toy Story 4 pops, Woody, Buzz, and Jesse all look crazy good. The alien, here we go. Now we can finally talk about the alien, which this alien is 1010% better than the OG one. The OG one looks so weird. You look at it, even when this pop wasn't even released yet. It's like, God, that OG alien, whether it's the OG like normal or metallic one, it just looks so awkward. It's a pop that I feel like I'd be forced to own, but I'm glad I don't own. And then Gabby and Bo Peep, they both look cool. And I love how they made Officer Giggle McDimples just kind of a 2-for-1 and not her own character, because it makes sense. She is a tiny toy. She's not the same size as the other toys in the movie. Forky, so awesome, super accurate. Combat Carl Jr., I do like this for the fact that they actually added details on the articulation of like the arm joints. Duke Kaboom was so awesome throughout the movie. I can't say anything bad about Duke Kaboom. Then we go to the exclusive pops, which there were the flocked variants of Ducky and Bunny, which I guess it makes sense that they made that. The sad face Forky, really cool, especially because they changed the eyebrows to make it show that it's sad, plus the mouth, obviously, to make it sad. And then, yeah, the Gabby with the Forky, that was all right. I don't think it was really needed, but I guess, you know what, they ended up doing it. The Buzz Lightyear is pretty cool. And then you got Woody with Forky, which does make sense. I did like that scene where Woody is walking around with Forky along the side of the road there. The action pose, Bo Peep, it's all right. Benson, so great. I'm glad they made a pop of Benson, because when like the original lineup came out, I was like, man, where's Benson? And of course, got him literally the day it released for New York Comic Con last year. And then there is a glow-in-the-dark alien pop that is a part of a Pop and Tea bundle exclusive to FYE, which I do like it because green is the best color when it glows in the dark. And so I already know by seeing photos and videos that this thing glows so amazingly.
So the first thing that I want to talk about is the Jessie pop, because I kind of mentioned that earlier. This Jessie is great. I mean, the face looks so awesome. The hair is so much more detailed than that first Jessie, and the body and pose is a lot more detailed and posed way better. The Woody is great as well. This is like the Woody off of the Woody with RC, and gave him a bit of a different pose with the lasso, which just looks great. I don't think there'll ever be a better Woody pop vinyl than that one. The Buzz is all right, and we still don't see one with a mouth, which, I mean, that's kind of the thing, obviously, with Funko Pops, that they don't have a mouth. But like I said, he is one of those characters where I think he should have a mouth. Gabby is pretty cool. I liked her character and her character development. So seeing a couple different pop vinyls of her is great. Bo Peep with Officer Giggle McDimples is amazing as well. I love the fact that they kind of included a Polly Pocket type character in Toy Story. So that one looks great, and I'm so happy that it was a kind of throw-in 2-for-1 deal pop. Forky is a pretty cool pop. This is one of those pops, though, where it's like, you're paying full price for a pop that obviously isn't using the same amount of materials to make as, let's say, another pop. But I do think that the pop looks really, really great. And Forky is also a huge comedy piece for Toy Story 4 and a great character. Combat Carl Jr., this is awesome. Yeah, like you said, mention him in the first movie, and then they actually kind of use some lore, I guess, from the first movie to make a character in the fourth movie, which is great, and this pop does look spectacular as well. Duke Kaboom, This pop looks great. The helmet being small is kind of weird, obviously, compared to his head size, but it is a pop, so you're going to get what you're going to get. Ducky and Bunny, these characters were great as well, obviously, just being carnival stuffed animals turned into toys that can kind of talk and relate with the other Toy Story characters is great, and these pops look amazing as well. The sad or like frightened Forky, that's a cool one. I don't know if we needed that one, especially when we move on to Gabby Gabby, where she now has another Forky. I think it's a lot of Forkies to make for a character that I would have been okay with just seeing one pop of. Floating Buzz is an alright pop. And then again, Forky with Woody, that's a pop where it's like, we didn't really need that. And then the Bo Peep is kind of in the same thing. But I think that is a great Bo Peep because obviously her character development was huge in Toy Story 4. Benson is a great pop as well. I love how the legs are like so skinny and floppy looking. The mouth looks so great, and the kind of blush, I guess is what it's called, on the cheeks looks amazing. And the blue around the eyes. Overall, it's just, they couldn't have done a better job on that pop. And then the glow-in-the-dark alien is obviously just a glow-in-the-dark alien, but like you said, green is an amazing color for glow-in-the-dark.
So I guess now we can move on to what we do with every fandom-related podcast, and that's simply what Funko Pops we want to see in said fandom's next set. But, of course, like usual, MD will begin by talking about what pops you want to see next in the Toy Story lineup in general, whether it's from 1, 2, 3, or 4.
So I guess starting off with the first one is a character that does not get enough love in the Toy Story franchise. That is Rocky Gibraltar. He's like the stud muffin wrestler guy from Toy Story 1. But I just love him, so I think a pop form of him would look so great. Moving on is probably one that a lot of people want to see, and that is Lenny, the binoculars. They could make a pop of that figure, and it would look just like how he looks like in the movie. So I think that is a need for the next wave of Toy Story pops. And then we have one of the pops that I want to see the most, and that is Stinky Pete slash the Prospector. What a great character, and I think, again, that pop would look so cool. Then moving on to the first pop that would have a chase variation, and that is Al. So you'd have normal Al, and then you would have Chicken Suit Al, which would be so great, and I know both of us would definitely want those, but that chase version would be a pop where it's like, you just need to find that Chicken Suit Al. Then we have the 2-pack, Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head. Those would be a great 2-pack, obviously. They've done 2-pack things with them before, not with Funko, but with like McDonald's toys. They've come in 2-packs before because obviously they are a couple and they deserve to be together. So we have the second of 3 human characters, and that is Sid. And I think Sid would look really cool. Obviously, he's just an evil little son of a gun, and I think a pop version of him would be great. And then we have the third of 3 human characters, and that is Andy. And I would have it as a kid where he's wearing like the Woody hat or the Jesse hat or whatever. But then it would be a 2-pack deal where you get his dog Buster with that pop. And I think that would be so great. Buster's such a cute little guy, so that'd be awesome. And then we have Ham as evil Dr. Porkchop. That would be so great where he has the Mr. Potato Head hat on. And that'd be so cool. I really want to see that. Then we have a pop that I want to see, which is actually a 6-inch pop, and it is of Rex. Mostly it's because I don't want to pay an absurd price for the original Rex, and I would like to see a 6-inch version of Rex because obviously he's a lot bigger than a lot of the characters. So a 6-inch kind of makes sense to me. If they did a 10-inch, that'd be crazy. Then moving on to the last pop on my list, this is the second pop that could potentially have a chase variation, and that is Mr. Shark. I think Mr. Shark would be a great pop, and then I guess you guys could probably assume what the chase version would be with Woody's hat on. That would just be hilarious and so great.
I actually had listed Mr. Shark with Woody's hat as a pop. It's amazing you mentioned that because I thought you weren't going to mention that. And that was going to be one of my what pops I want to see next in the Toy Story lineup. I might as well go from fourth movie to first because I feel like more of the better pops are from the older ones. So the only thing I could think of possibly for the fourth movie is doing a pop rides of Duke-a-Boom with the motorcycle. But it does seem unlikely because I don't know if you know about this, but right now, at least, I don't know if it's over yet, but there's currently a lawsuit going on between Evel Knievel's family and Disney and blame Pixar for the likeliness of using Duke Kaboom as kind of a ripoff of Evel Knievel. Moving on to number 3, I put Big Baby. Why not make a Big Baby pop? It seems like it'd be very easy. And then, like I kind of teased earlier, a strawberry scented Lotso. And it'd probably be like him with his cane, because the original one doesn't have him with his cane. So if you have him with the cane, that's cool. And then do a 2-pack of Buttercup and Trixie. It could work as a 3-pack now as I think about it if you include Dolly. I'll say a 3-pack now, because I don't have a 3-pack listed. Next one, a revamp of Zurg, but this time I want to see him with his blaster. They could do another variant, not necessarily a chase, and I think the perfect variant, because we haven't seen these done in a while, is if Zurg was a Lights and Sounds Funko Pop. And then this one, from the beginning of the second movie, it'd be Gamer Rex, where he has the space helmet on and he's got the controller and he's trying to like press the one side because his arms are too short to reach it. I think that would be amazing. A Gamer Rex would be awesome. And then we go on to the first movie, which obviously so many different pops. Babyface, and that is the character of one of the toys that Sid creates, where it's the baby's head with mechanical spider legs. I think that would be amazing in pop form. Then I did write Andy, but I wrote it in like a cool way. And it would be Andy with a mini Woody spinning on the recliner chair in the intro as a Pop Deluxe. I think that would be amazing. And then the last pop I have, a Pizza Planet Pop Town with Sid. I know you mentioned Sid, but I feel like with Sid, he'd be one of those characters that have to be put with something like a Pop Town. And I think Sid is the perfect character for the Pizza Planet Pop Town, and it would be awesome. I don't know any other character besides maybe some version of Andy. It needs to happen, Funko. But anyways, guys, that's going to be the end of this week's podcast. If you enjoyed this special Toy Story edition of a Funko Popcast, smash that like button. Comment in the comment section below on what your favorite Toy Story movie is, and let us know what pops you want to see next in the Toy Story lineup. Press the subscribe button for more content like this podcast and any other videos we do on this channel in the future, and press the little bell beside it to be notified of when that future content gets released. And if you haven't yet, follow us on all of our social media platforms on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at a Funko Popcast. It'll be listed in the description below. But anyways, guys, thank you all for listening to this week's podcast, and we hope to see you guys next time, and we hope you got a friend in us. 1, 2, 3, I'm out of here.
To infinity and beyond, peace in, peace out.